and what your plans are for Earth Day this weekend, or if you did something cool yesterday for Earth Day. And I'm going to play the video now.
I can't hear you.
Yeah, redo the whole title.
I can. Oh, there we go.
Our goal is not just an environment of clean air and water and scenic beauty while forgetting about the worst environments in America. Our goal is an environment of decency, quality, and mutual respect for all human beings and all other living creatures. Our goal is a decent environment in its broadest and deepest sense, and it will require a long, sustained political, moral, ethical, and financial commitment far beyond any commitment ever made by any society in the history of man.
My name is Tia Nelson. I am the daughter of Gaylord Nelson, the founder of Earth Day. My father was an extraordinary dad. He was an extraordinary leader. Growing up as his daughter, it was mostly a great privilege, but also I felt a heavy sense of duty to public service and to making a difference with my life. I work for the Outrider Foundation. Our goal is to educate people about big global challenges like climate change. One of my favorite quotes from my father was delivered on the eve of the first Earth Day in 1970. He said, ecology is a big science,
not a narrow one. It's a big concept, and it is concerned with all the ramifications of all the relationships of all living creatures to each other and their environment.
So when he talked about the environment, he talked about ecology and environment in the broadest sense, in the most inclusive sense. That idea resonated with students across the country. Collectively, they made a difference that was unforeseeable.
This movement and this fight is about all of us, because what is more fundamental than the air that we breathe, than water, than the soil that we stand on, than the land that we love? Like, what is more fundamental to every single one of us than that?
So thanks for tuning in today. I just kind of want to tell you guys, we are going to be talking about Earth Day and the history of Earth Day and how you can help the Earth for our life. But I also wanted to kind of just tell you a little bit about my childhood and why we do what we do here. So I grew up in Otis Orchards, and I spent a lot of time down at the river. And I still remember as a kid, because I went there every day, that I would see people dump stuff like car tires or garbage or bottles or things like that. And I remember as a young child that that was not cool with me. So by going to an ecosystem and seeing how people treated it, it really kind of impacted me. And at the Outdoor Learning Center, we try to have kids be very curious about the world around them and to be noticing things. And so it's important for all of us out there to be paying attention to what's going on. And that's what environmental ed and the purpose of Earth Day is all about. As it mentioned in the video, it was created by Senator Gaylord Nelson. He was from Wisconsin and knew that the Earth's natural resources were being used up. At that time, colleges and schools were holding teach-ins about the same time as the Vietnam War. And Senator Nelson thought that same type of platform could be used to teach about the environment. He and his team, thank you, I forgot to click slides. Hi Debbie, thank you. He and his team kind of got together and decided that April 22nd could be used because it was between spring break and final exams. And that would allow most students to participate. In a total of 20 million Americans participated in the first Earth Day. Big number. It united a people of all races, nationalities, and political standings. This was the first time a lot of people started coming together to think about the Earth as something to protect and save. So here are some pictures from the first Earth Day on April 22nd in 1970, which makes it pretty old. I actually was born in 71, so 51 years ago. Many high school students were actually excused from school and that day to participate in Earth Day rallies. And universities and the country held teach-ins, and students and adults decided to take a bike and walk places instead. From the 1970s to 1990s, many environmental laws were passed, and Earth Day was held once a decade, which means after that 1970, the next Earth Day was held in 1980, and the next Earth Day after that was in 1990. Even with all the Earth Day celebration once a decade, government officials started to realize the importance of protecting the environment. Following the 1970 Earth Day, government officials passed the National Environmental Education Act, Years and Occupational Safety and Health Act, and the Clean Air Act. 2 years later, they passed the Clean Water Act. And then a year after that, the government passed the Endangered Species Act and the Federal Insecticide, Fungicide, and Rodenticide Act. All of these acts created a safer air, water, and land for humans and animals. In 1990, Earth Day went global. Over 140 countries participated in Earth Day, resulting in over 200 million people participating. Earth Day in 1999 focused on recycling and using your resources wisely. This global Earth Day paved the way for the 1992 United Nations Earth Summit, the first time the world had ever had a conversation about the Earth and the environment. From the 1990s until today, Earth Day has been celebrated every year on April 22nd. In the 2000s, more people joined in celebrating Earth Day, and the numbers went into hundreds of millions. In the 2000s, Earth Day focused on global warming and clean energy. This was the beginning of the computer age, and the internet became a popular tool for communicating ideas and issues surrounding Earth Day. In 2010s, companies created movements such as a Billion Acts of Green and the Canopy Project. These movements allowed everyday people to start doing environmental acts to help save the Earth. These movements made service opportunities even more accessible. Today, Earth Day still focuses on global warming and clean energy. Ocean pollution and protecting animals has become the forefront of Earth Day efforts. Through volunteering and civic engagement, people are more involved and connected with nature and the Earth than they ever have been in centuries. There are now over 1 billion people every year participating in Earth Day. Last year was the 50th anniversary, like I mentioned before, and it's amazing how things have changed since 1970. So now we're going to talk about some ways for you to get involved. The first way is the first global clean up. This is an event put on every Earth Day, and it's put on by earthday.org, and it gives people resources and tools to be able to clean up the trash in their area. But you don't have to sign up for this event to participate in it. The Great Global Cleanup is about getting people outside and picking up trash in their neighborhood. So just get out in your neighborhood and pick up trash. Or if you see trash out while you're walking, go pick it up. Another way you can help the environment is by carefully choosing how you go from place to place. Use eco-friendly forms of transportation. You can walk, use bikes, or even use Lime scooters around Spokane. All of those are environmentally friendly. Electric cars and buses also are a great option. In fact, in my car this morning, my 16-year-old is telling me that he should probably have an electric car for his first car. In 1970, the first Earth Day encouraged people to use cars less frequently and walk or bike even more often. We encourage you the next time you go to the store or the park to walk or ride your bike there. The Lime scooters around town are also a great option, but they use solar power. Because they use solar power, using anything that doesn't emit fossil fuels is good for the environment. And probably everyone has heard of reducing heat, or heard of reduce, reuse, or recycle. And there are 2 more R's that are just as important: remove and refuse. Plastic never goes away. It only breaks down into smaller and smaller pieces. The first plastics that were ever created are still on Earth. Plastics have been found in our food, our water, and even in our air. There have been heavy pollution and smog studies showing that even more microplastics are in the air. It's predicted in the year 2050 that there will be more plastic in the ocean than there are fish. Scientists say if we continue using plastic like we currently are, the ocean will have at least 937 million 937 million tons of plastic. Oh, Lily. And only about 895 million tons of fish, which is crazy. We think it's unacceptable, and so here at the OLC, we try to do our part to decrease plastic uses. You can do this pretty easily, small. So use a reusable shopping bag at the grocery store. Carry a reusable water bottle. Stop using disposable straws, forks, spoons, and steer clear from styrofoam containers. The more you do to help decrease the use of plastic, the more you are helping the earth. The last thing you can do is to help the earth is the most fun. It's called citizen science, and these projects are really awesome ways that you can get involved in protecting nature. These projects allow anyone with an interest in something to help actual real life studies. These projects are on from everything from birds from the Audubon to looking at stars for NASA to listening to animal calls for biologists, and there are many more. Anyone can help with these projects. All they ask is that you have an interest in the project and you're willing to help out. The Global Earth Day Challenge is an app that allows you to help with several citizen science projects. It is run by the Earth Day organization, and I know at least one project is to help protect bees. Zooverse and citizenscience.org are great ways to find anything and everything you are interested in. And you can check out an actual scientific study. So now we are going to end this part of the presentation of a reading of the Lorax. This book is by Dr. Suess and one of our favorites. It really explains why protecting nature is so important. So sit down, get comfortable, get a reusable water bottle, and we're going to start reading. At the far end of town, where the grickle grass grows, my son is telling me to stop reading. Thank you, Jasper. At the far end of town where the grickle grass grows, and the wind smells slow and sour as it blows, and no birds ever sing excepting old crows, is the street of the lifted Lorax. And deep in the grickle grass, some people say, if you look deep enough, you can still see today where the Lorax once stood, just as long as it could, before somebody lifted the Lorax away. What is the Lorax and why is it there? And why was it lifted and taken somewhere from the far end of town where the grickle grass grows? The Onceler still lives here. Ask him. He knows. We're letting you guys catch up with your reading. You won't see the Onceler. Don't knock at his door. He stays at his lurkum on top of his store. He lurks in his lurkum, cold under the roof, and makes his own clothes out of mufted muff. And on special dank midnights in August he peeks out of shutters, and sometimes he speaks and tells how the Lorax was lifted away. He'll tell you, perhaps, if you're willing to pay. And on the end of a rope, he lets down a tin pail, and you have to toss in 15 cents and a nail, and the shell of a great-great-great-grandfather snail. Then he pulls up his pail and makes a most careful count to see if you've paid him the proper amount. Then he hides what you've paid him away in his snoove, his secret its strange hole with his gloviest glove. Then he grunts, I will call you by whispermaphone, for the secrets I tell you are for your ears alone. Slurp! Down slurps the whispermaphone to your ear, and the old onceler's whispers are not very clear, since they've come down through a little snurgly hose, and he sounds if he has smallish bees up his nose. Now I will tell you, he says, with his teeth sounding gray, how the Lorax got lifted and taken away. It all started way back, such a long, long time back. Way back in the days when the grass was still green and the pond was still wet and the clouds were still clean and the song of the Swammy Swans rang out in space, one morning I came to this glorious place, and the first I saw the trees, those truffula trees, the bright-colored tuff of the truffula trees, mile after mile in the fresh morning breeze. And under the trees I saw the brown barbaloots frisking about in their barbaloot suits as they played in the shade and ate truffula fruits. From the rippleless pond came the comfortable sound of humming fish humming while splashing around. But those trees, those truffula trees, all my life I had been searching for trees such as these. The touch of their tufts was much softer than silk, and they had the sweet smell of butterfly milk. I felt a great leaping and a joy of my heart. I knew what I would do. I unloaded my cart. And in no time at all, I had built a small shop. Then I chopped down a truffle tree with one chop. And with great skillful skill and great speedy speed, I took the soft tuff and I knitted a thneed. The instant I finished, I heard a gazump, and I looked and saw something pop out of the stump of the tree that I had chopped down. It was sort of a man. Describe him? That's hard. I don't know if I can. He was shortish and oldish and brownish and mossy, and he spoke with a voice that was sharpish and bossy. Mister, he said with a snotty sneeze, I am the Lorax, and I speak for the trees. I speak for the trees have no tongues. And I'm asking you, sir, at the top of my lungs. He was very upset, and he shouted and puffed, What is that thing you have made of my truffula truffed? Look, Lorax, I said, there's no cause for alarm. I chopped this one tree. I am doing no harm. I'm being quite useful. This thing is a thneed. A thneed is a fine something that all people need. It's a shirt, it's a sock, it's a glove, it's a hat. But it has other uses far beyond that. You can use it for carpets, for pillows, for sheets, or curtains, or covers for bicycle seats. The Lorax said, Sir, you are crazy with greed. There is no one on earth who would buy that fool need. But that very next moment, I proved he was wrong. For just that minute, a chap came along, and he thought the thneed I had knitted was great. He happily bought it for $3.98. I laughed at the Lorax. You poor stupid guy. You never could tell what some people will buy. I cried the Lorax. I repeat, cried the Lorax. I speak for the trees. I'm busy, I told him. Shut up as you please. I rushed across the room, and in no time at all, I built a radiophone and made a quick call. I called my brothers, my uncles, my aunts, and I said, listen here, here's a wonderful chance for the whole Wensler family to get mighty rich. Get over here fast. Take the road to North Niche. Turn left at Weehawken, a sharp right at South Stitch. And then, in no time at all, in the factory I built, the whole Wensler family was working full tilt. We were knitting needs as busy as beads to the sound of chopping of truffula trees. Then, oh baby, oh, how my business did grow. Now chopping one tree at a time was too slow, so I quickly invented my super axe hacker, which hacked off 4 truffula trees in one smacker. We were making needs 4 times as fast as before, and that Lorax, he didn't show up anymore. But the next week, he knocked at my door, on my new office door. He snapped, I am the Lorax who speaks for the trees, which you seem to be chopping as fast as you please. But I'm also in charge of the brown Barbaloots, who played in the shade in their Barbaloot suits, and happily lived eating truffula fruits. Now, thanks to your hacking to my trees to the ground, there's not enough truffula fruit to go around, and my poor Barbaloots are all getting trummies because they have gas and no food in their tummies. They loved living here, but I can't let them stay. They all have to go find food, and I hope that they may. Good luck, boys, he cried, and he sent them away. I, the Wensler, felt sad as I watched them go, but business does business, and business must grow, regardless of crummies in tummies, you know. I meant no harm. I most truly did not, and I had to go bigger, so bigger I got. I biggered my factory, I biggered my roads, I biggered my wagons, I biggered my loads of the needs I shipped out. I was shipping them forth, to the south, to the east, to the west, to the north. I went right on biggering, selling more needs, and I biggered my money, which everyone needs. And then he came back. I was fixing some pipes when that old nuisance Lorax came back with more grapes. I am the Lorax. He coughed and he whiffed. He sneezed and he snuffed. He snargled, he sniffed. Wensler, he cried with a cruffless croak. Wensler, you're making such smoke. My poor swammy swams. Why they can't sing a note. No one can sing who has smog in their throat. And so, said the Lorax, please pardon my cough. They cannot live here, so I'm sending them off. Where will they go? I don't hopefully know. They might have to fly for a month or a year to escape the smog. You're smogged up around here. Once more, snapped the Lorax. His dander was up. Let me say a few words about the gluppity-glup. Your machinery chugs on day and night without a stop. You're making gluppity-glup and sloppity-slop. And what do you do with this leftover goo? I'll show you, you dirty old Onceler man, you. You're glumping the pond where the humming fish hummed. No more can they hum, for their gills are all gummed. So I'm sending them off. Oh, their future is dreary. They'll walk on their fins and get woefully weary in search of some water that isn't so smeary. And then I got mad. I got terribly mad. I yelled at the Lorax. Now listen here, Dad. All you do is yap, yap, and say bad, 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 bad. Well, I have my words, sir, right, sir, and I'm telling you, I intend to go doing just what I do. And for your information, Lorax, I'm biggering, and biggering, and biggering, and biggering, turning more truffle trees into needs, which everyone needs. And at that very moment, we heard a loud whack. From outside in the fields came a sickening smack of an axe on a tree. Then we heard the tree fall, the very last truffle tree of them all. No more trees, no more needs, no more work to be done. So in no time, my uncles and aunts and everyone all waved me goodbye. They jumped into my cars and drove away under the smoke-smuggered stars. Now all that is left, neath the bad-smelling sky, is a big empty factory, the Lorax and I. The Lorax said nothing, just gave me a glance. Just gave me a very sad, backward glance. As he lifted himself by the seat of his pants, and I'll never forget the grim look on his face when he heisted himself and took leave of this place, through a hole in the smog, without leaving a trace. And all that was left, all that the Lorax left here in this mess, was a small pile of rocks with one word, unless. Whatever that meant, well, I just couldn't guess. That was long, long ago. But each day since that day, I've sat here and worried away. Through the years, while my buildings have fallen apart, I have worried about it with all of my heart. But now, says the Onceler, now that you're here, the word of the Lorax seems perfectly clear. Unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, it's not going to get better. It's not. So, catch, calls the Onceler. He lets something fall. It's a truffle tree. It's the last one of all. You're in charge of the last of the truffle trees. And truffle trees are what everyone needs. Plant a new truffle, treat it with care, give it clean water, and feed it fresh air. Grow a forest, protect it from axes that hack, and then the Lorax and all of his friends may come back. So I hope you guys enjoyed listening and reading the Lorax. Remember, this weekend it's not too late. Around here, we say every day is Earth Day. So go outside, plant some flowers, pick up some trash, turn off your water when you're brushing your teeth. And my name is not Miss Kellyanna. That was awesome. We miss seeing you guys. If you are watching this in the replay, don't forget to say hello to us. And we would love to hear what promises you've made to help the Earth or something that maybe you and your family are going to be doing for Earth Day. So have a great weekend, and we'll see you guys next week. Bye!